What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Progressive Action TV show. I had to leave the um, picture on the screen, and I want you to see what it says, and I want you to look at the people who's on the screen. It says, let's take a look into the MTA's Old Boys Network. Now, normally people think that the Old Boys Network are white men. That's not what the Old Boys Network is any longer, specifically speaking in corporate America and the MTA, just to be exact, right? You have women that are now a part of the Old Boys Network, and we're going to explain the Old Boys Network. We're going to talk a little white supremacy, the ideology, because a lot of people think that white supremacy can only be perpetuated by white people. That is untrue. A lot of black people uphold white supremacy also. And we have a special guest, which we will be interviewing later. So I guarantee you guys wouldn't want to miss it. So, Tremel, what made you want to do this show today? It's simple. We must continue to talk out on this egregiousness by management. They are totally out of control. They are all about big stick management. They are all about the Old Boys Network, white supremacy. And like I said, you have women a part of that, and specifically speaking, black women. And we're going to discuss Miranda Grant, Miranda Isaacs, one of the two. Those both her names, by the way. But we're going to discuss her because I feel that she plays a major role in this whole entire thing. And what's crazy is that I actually liked her. I thought that she was righteous. I thought that she was really trying to do the right thing. Like I said, I have a whole 2 hour plus audio of her saying various things, good things, and made me think that the company, at least this part of the company, will actually do the right thing. So I want to unwrap and unravel a couple of things on this show just to show you how she ties in to this whole Old Boys Network and white supremacy. I like to do first? I would like to explain white supremacy and the Old Boys Network. So for those who don't know, if you've been living under a rock, white supremacy is a term used to characterize various belief systems central to which are one or more of the following key tenets. And we're gonna unravel at least two of those key tenets of white supremacy. So one of them is whites should have dominance over people of other backgrounds, especially where they may coexist. We see this at the MTA all the time. The white delegation of the MTA treat all others differently. We've seen it with Jason Brown when he was saying those racist comments, when he was saying that he wants to, he was going to torture the membership. I mean, we talking about a membership that's mostly minority. Almost half of the workforce is black, 49% black people alone here. So like I said, one of the key tenets is whites should have dominance over people of other backgrounds, especially where they may coexist. And the other key tenet is whites should live by themselves in a whites-only society. Now, this is the old meaning of white supremacy. When I say whites should live by themselves in a whites-only society, we're going to transform that into corporate America. When you look at the MTA is heavy black minority at the bottom, heavy. The higher you go up, the lighter and whiter it gets, just to be explicit. The lighter and whiter it gets. I don't understand how you can have so many black people at the bottom, but when you get to the real executive positions, black people are so far few in between. This is designed like this on purpose. I did a story about the communications chief, a white woman named Sarah Meyer, who one of her employees made an official complaint about how she only promotes white faces. And since that complaint, she's been promoting black faces. And this is something that we must pay attention to because this is what they do. They actually take care of each other. I'm talking about the Old Boys Network. And like I said, the Old Boys Network is not only boys or men or males. it includes women now. It includes women now, and we can't forget that. So part of the old boys network, or let's be specific. Let's be specific. First, let me put my name on the screen. I put my name on the screen all show. Let me fix that before I get into that. Put my name on the screen. Yeah. Oh, yeah. For those who don't know, I'm your host, Tremel Thompson, Progressive Action. Forgot to do all that. But yeah. So talking about this specific situation. So at the top of that picture, you have Chief Officer Paul McPhee. To his left, bottom left, you have Acto Charles Henschke. And to his right, you have Chief Officer of the Investigations Department of the MTA, Miranda Grant. So just to give you guys a brief rundown and just to show you how the old boys network protect each other, how white supremacy protects each other, because once again, I need for you guys to get this in your head. White supremacy is not only perpetuated by white people. Black people uphold white supremacy also. And I believe Miranda Grant is doing this. She's upholding white supremacy. She's upholding the old boys network. So just to break this down, very brief. In 2019, I went to the MTA board meeting, I think December 18th, 2019. I went to the MTA board meeting to let them know publicly that one of their high-ranking managers was targeting me. As a result of me doing that, January 2nd, the MTA sent me a letter, and January 2nd, 2020, I went to sit down with Miranda Grant and the head of the EEO, Joel Andrews. We had a 2-hour conversation. That conversation was recorded, by the way. And, she tried to, I'm not going to talk too much about that right now. I'm going to wait for my guest to come on and, he can explain it better. But she tried her maneuvers. Now, I made an official complaint, thinking that something was going to get done. Nothing was done. Fast forward to the discipline part of Henschke, because I did make a complaint about him committing nepotism and ethics violation by getting his brother a position inside of an office when he wasn't supposed to have that position. So the charges end up being substantiated against Charles Henschke. Now, when I actually got Charles Henschke Dan from a source, because we must remember that I have a news media platform, right? Can't forget that. So one of my sources sent me his Dan, and for some strange reason, it said bias activity. So they said the incident or the discipline was supposed to happen 3/6/2020, and it was bias activity, and that raised the red flag for me because bias activity is something that's weird. It wasn't bias activity; it was nepotism, and it was an ethics violation. The reason they named it a bias activity is because Charles Henschke was up for a promotion. So they didn't want anything to deter him from that promotion. And plus, they had to give something to SIR. So what they tried to do was try to water it down and just called it bias activity, because that could mean anything, right? But when you say nepotism and ethics violation, that seems more serious. So they gave him bias activity so he can get his promotion, in which he did get. He shouldn't have gotten it if it was nepotism or ethics violation. So when I seen the bias activity, that actually created more nepotism, because people think nepotism is only for family. No, nepotism can include friends also. And it's without a doubt, Charles Henschke and Paul McPhee are friends. They co-workers, they friends. They share office space with each other. So that says a lot right there. So I end up, when I seen the bias activity, I banged it into the MTA IG office. They kicked it back down to SIR Miranda Grant, the person who's playing ball with them. During that time, See, Charles Hinchke did not get disciplined when it actually happened. They was trying to cover it up. So one of the other things that I end up getting written up for was putting an email conversation on my show to show the people the nepotism and that's going on within the old boys network themselves. So they wasn't trying to discipline Hinchke. They was actually trying to sweep it up under the rug the whole entire time. And they was successful at doing it. It took them 6 months to put bias activity on Charles Hinchke Dan. Right? For those who don't know, a Dan is a disciplinary action notice. It's basically your discipline record. And it took them 6 months. Nowhere in the history of New York City Transit, when it comes to hourlies, it takes them 6 months after charges have been substantiated to issue you a charge. Nowhere in the history. But this exists in the old boy network, right? Oh, real quick. Let me explain to you guys what the old boy network is, because sometimes I get questions about the old boy network. So the old boy network refers to an informal system of friendships and connections through which men use their positions of influence by providing favors and information to help other men. Often men are connected because they belong to the same country club, fraternity, college, or share a similar social background. Even the old boys network, like I said, that transformed. That includes women. And if you within a whole social background, like the social background in the MTA depends on your title. So you have low-level superintendents that will frown upon hourlies. You have high-level superintendents that will frown down upon low-level superintendents and hourlies. You have executive management that would frown down upon everybody, right? So that social background encompass title also. So when you look at Miranda Grant, she's a chief officer. When you look at Paul McPhee, he is a chief officer. When you look at Charles Hinchke, he's an acting chief officer, right? So they have the same social background. So don't think that, once again, white supremacy is the white supremacy that we know of the past, or the old boys network is the old boy network of the past. It is not, right? So, like I said, it took them 6 months to actually issue the discipline on Charles Hinchke, and I had the email thread to back up that claim, right? So I ended up banging all of that stuff in, reporting all of that stuff to the MTAIGs, and what they did once again, they kicked it back down to Miranda Grant so she could continue to cover for the old boys network that she's a part of. So finally, since I, blew the whistle on it, they did end up fixing Charles Hinchke Dan to nepotism and ethics violation. But before they did that, and this is Miranda Grant report. See, Miranda Grant is fully behind the old boys network. She is not a woman of her word. And she cannot be trusted. So she put on my Dan, my I forgot what they call it, Dan packet, that is basically the whole investigation on me. This is what she put as note number 2. We note that effective March 6, 2020, Acto Hinchke was issued a reinstruction which was initially mislabeled as bias activity and was subsequently changed to reflect the correct charge of an ethics and nepotism violation. That it wasn't mislabeled. It was labeled that way to make sure that he gets his promotion first, right? Now, if his Dan, now we talking about upper management. Upper management don't get too many Dans, right? You probably could count on one hand the past 10 years upper management probably got Dans. If his Dan was mislabeled, then how many of the hourly's Dans that we talking about, thousands probably a year, that go through labor relations, how many of their Dans is probably mislabeled, right? Maybe we should look at everyone Dans to make sure that they're labeled properly, right? Now, they're not going to do that because they're going to say that everyone's Dan was labeled properly. Well, why was Charles Henschke Dan mislabeled? Once again, it was mislabeled because he was up for promotion, and the Old Boys Network was going to make sure that nothing was going to get in the way of his promotion, and they did just that. Not only was that a violation, ethics violation, but it was a violation of the public trust. These guys are public officers. They are officers of the state. They violated their oath. They violated public trust, and nothing is going to happen to them because they are a part of a network that's going to take care of each other. That's why you have to go outside and handle a lot of this stuff. Now, also, Paul McPhee is constantly in some type of EEO complaint. He has an EEO complaint right now, which is being swept under the rug by the Old Boys Network. He got into it with the SVP of the Supervisors Union, talking to him disrespectfully, talking to him like a little boy. And this is 100% fact. And this guy is a black man, black West Indian man. So it's weird how the Old Boys Network feel that they could violate any and everyone. And not to mention the SVP of the union, he is also a supervisor. And this is how it works in the MTA. I mean, it's weird, but it makes me feel good that I'm able to talk about it. So the way it works is that when low-level superintendents or supervisors are telling the truth against hourlies, right, that superintendent or that supervisor word is bond. But when those same supervisors and low-level superintendents are making a complaint or telling their story about a high-level ranking manager, their word is no longer bond. Because the thing is this, when it comes to the EEO and when it comes to SIR, if it's hourly against hourly, they are going to the fullest extent of the investigation of the law to make sure that there's some type of punishment. But when it comes to anyone against an executive manager or a high-level manager, EEO and SIR is there to protect the company. They are there to be the buffer to not get the company any lawsuits when it comes to high-ranking managers. I mean, just think about it like this. Think about it. Miranda Grant claimed that they could not interview me because I was out on workers' comp during that time. But they finished an investigation without interviewing me, without anything, and trying to substantiate some type of discipline charges on me. But I wasn't good enough to come do to interview for the investigation, but I'm on comp and they want me to answer these discipline charges while I'm out on comp. What kind of sense does that make? That makes absolutely no sense. Now, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to play this audio again of Miranda Grant, and then I'm going to bring in my guests. So let's listen to the audio about what she said about being fair, which ended up being a white lie. No pun intended.
So, was a complaint against Mr. Thompson. We can examine it the same.
No, I agree.
But you will probably have bosses over here. How's that investigation going? You don't think so?
Let me explain something to you.
Explain it. I want to hear it.
We conduct in our respective units independent and fair investigations. Our job is to find out what happened. There is no one that can call to say this has to go one particular way. If that's the case, then we're not doing our jobs.
Correct.
We do not work for the Department of Subways. We do not work for the Department of Buses. We work for New York City Transit. So whatever is happening, if there's a culture to be changed, it starts in the investigative phase. That way we have our reports, we issue our reports, and the action that's taken as a result of the investigations is what then starts to change the culture. So you've never come to us. So I'm hoping now you have my information. So if there is something that you can reach out and there's something that we can do, but we have to look into it. I can tell you right now what I cannot do is take the information and make an assumption that this is what's happening and have it as fact.
I do not want.
Right, and that's, I'm putting all the cards on the table, right? Because I will look into it. I will look into it. That's my job to look into it. But I'm saying to you is, if there's nothing that I can put together, I cannot put it together. If something falls in line and does go together, there's no one that can say don't do it.
How do you, as far as like a technique, how do you have someone feel comfortable to tell you, like if Miss Adams come down here, right? I never met her, don't know her, right?
Now that was Miranda Grant, right? And this is what I don't understand about Miss Grant. This is what I don't understand about Miss Grant. She must realize that she has a lot to lose, right? Charles Henschke don't have a law degree. Paul McPhee don't have a law degree. She has a law degree. And she's putting her career on the line for people who wouldn't even invite her to dinner after work. They probably would walk past her in the street after work, right? But she has to be smarter than that. She has a law degree. She have a lot to lose. You know, I do feel like she's targeting me. I do feel like she's a part of the Old Boys Network. And I think something needs to be done with her law degree. I don't think that she's competent to be a lawyer. You know, she doing unfair investigations. She's holding up white supremacy in the Old Boys Network, and I think that something needs to be done. But without further ado, we gonna bring my boy, bring my brother, my uncle, like my uncle, man. Drummond, what's the word, my brother?
What's up, bro? How you doing?
I'm great, man. What's up?
I'm good, man. I'm listening to what you saying about Miss Grant. And who was the other brother there? The brother there?
Joel Andrews, EEO.
Mr. Andrews. And based on our interview, you would think they was gonna bring Henschke out in handcuffs, man. She seems so professional and thorough. And she acted as if she was going to do a rigorous investigation. Not only did she say rigorous, you gave her everything she could have possibly needed, the two of them, to conduct a thorough investigation. And to think that she played a part in getting you some discipline, which everybody know that transit is Mr. Lieber and whoever, McPhee, and like you said, the powers that be, they're just trying to silence you. And let me just say to everybody here, if they silence this brother and anybody, it's over. Over. That's all they're trying to do. Tremel ain't said nothing that was out of bounds. We just look at him, and a lot of us looking for a fair and equitable workplace. And all this is about is trying to silence you, man, and intimidate you into silence. And this is bugging me out that Ms. Grant is doing this and playing the part in this. Because based on that interview that we had, you would think that we was talking to Michelle Obama.
Now, I want to make it clear that for those who don't know, Drummond was the union rep with me that day. You know what I'm saying? Yo, let me ask you, what made you record it?
Well, it was you. I know we was going in there and it was you. And I didn't think, there was a part of me when we sat down that thought they was going to be fair and impartial, but I didn't think, I've never thought about doing it with anybody. But with you, this was a unique and, based on your profile there and who this meeting was concerning. and Hensky and McPhee, and like you said, those that enable him and protect him. So I just thought it was the thing to do in this particular instance.
Yeah, because I was surprised. I wasn't even thinking about recording, and you didn't even let me know that you was recording. And you may not have even told me right after. You may have told me like a couple of days later, like, I recorded the conversation. I'm like, oh, really? I mean, I didn't even care to even ask you for the conversation because when we left there, I did think that they were going to do the right thing. I did think that they was going to be fair and impartial, but up until like 2 weeks ago, I realized that that wasn't the case. Now, I know that you have accompanied other workers to SIR and EEO. Did you notice anything different from the way they handled me and SIR and EEO versus how they handled other employees that you accompanied down there?
Well, I would say while I was the officer, I handled most of the SIR investigation, and usually be comp fraud, members make threats online, watching people, FMLA, do employment things. So generally speaking, interview will last about 45 minutes to an hour. And what was different about yours, excuse me, what was different about yours is, first of all, yours was almost, it was twice, yours was almost 2.5 hours. Cause it had like a flow to it. Cause it was I would say it was the most productive, professional interview. And I'm not gonna lie, a lot of those officers at SIR are professional. So I wasn't shocked at the professionalism for the most part. Some of them, they get at you like you're on another 48 hours with the light and but this wasn't the case. So the time frame, how productive the questions asked, the information that you offered them, and the fact that I didn't think of it at the time. I've never been, now I advise members, don't give we said everything we need to say, don't give them. SIR will press you for a G2. Because a G2 is, I tell members, is a public record. They're gonna use your G2. It can absolve you, or they can use it to, anything you can and anything you write will be used against you at transit. So a lot of the times they want a G2, and a lot of times they trying to coerce our members into writing the G2. And if everything was said, a lot of times I don't see a need for it. But they never asked you for that. And I'm thinking that they didn't want the facts on G2. Because if you written a G in the G2 written as a G2, because I think it could have been offered as evidence for you. So I didn't think about it again, because they kind of rocked me to sleep. So I didn't think about it at the time, but it is curious that they didn't ask for G2 from you. So it was a very in-depth, thorough interview. And like I said, I'm surprised that Miss Grant is playing a part in all this.
I'm just as surprised as you. I thought that she was going to be wholesome. I thought that she was really going to be fair, but this shows you that we can't trust anyone here. Do you think that they took my complaint serious at SIR? Like, in hindsight, like, if you had with everything that's going on now, do you think that they took my complaint serious?
No, I don't think that you were there. Your interview was about seeking. Listen, we don't. No, I don't think so. We don't have. They act as if they was internal affairs. We don't have internal affairs. We have there's no mechanism really to discipline supervision. That's a fact. If it was, all these frisky TSSs, I spoke with dispatchers, deputy soups and soups, wouldn't conduct themselves like they do. They won't walk around the way they do. They don't fear any repercussions at all. And some of that is our fault. Mm-hmm. Some of it is you get members that say, I don't want to be involved. I don't want to be retaliated against. You're being retaliated against every day down here. So I don't think there's a mechanism I could actually say, but maybe they were shocked that somebody was bringing charges or levying charges or accusations against a supervisor, much less an actor. Because it's red down here. You can't get no G2s from the members. So some of this that, like, I think a lot of these ATDs, all these think that what's going to happen to us? That person ain't going to ride G together. I give him extra chip. I give him layups. He makes more. I put money in his pocket. They're not worried about G. So they was shocked because now in hindsight, I thought no. EEO, my experience now, and they was trying to get information, manipulate information to absolve Henschke. That's exactly what that was all they was doing. It was to be honest with you, that interview was a farce. Facts. It was a
facts. And you want to know what too? It was more easier for them to bring the nepotism and ethics violation against Henschke because that wouldn't lead to any type of litigation in court or a lawsuit in court because he was taking care of his brother. It wasn't nobody else. The only thing he could have gotten was discipline. But if you showed that this guy was targeting an employee because of retaliation, that becomes an issue, right? That becomes a monetary issue for the company, and they wanted to make that go away because till this day, I never got a letter about my interview with SIR. They never sent me something to say that the investigation is dead. It didn't go nowhere. They didn't say that it's substantiated. They didn't say anything. It just went away. It just went away. And then when I got my Dan packet and these charges and Henschke complaining about me putting his Dan on the internet, I mean, that was pretty foolish, to be honest, because now he opened up this can of worms of, well, why did he do it? See, the MTA don't have to care about why did I do it. But you want to know what? A court is going to care, right? And that's my plan. My plan is to take them to court eventually for retaliation because enough is enough. The only way that I can't take them to court is if they make this Dan go away. That's the only way I probably can't take them to court to get anything. But I really don't care at this point. I would take the 10 days, and it's going to be what it is. But these people are not for, specifically speaking, SIR, Miranda Grant. They are not for the members. EEO is not for the members, and they protecting this guy, Paul McPhee, because he got other complaints on him in those departments, and nothing is happening.
Well, I mean, I agree with you. I mean, they, like, here, like, they so used to squashing. I seen a lot of a few, like, you and a few others are willing to fight to the death. Mm-hmm. You and a few others don't care about losing their job. And I think anybody who's a fighter should not be a concern about losing your job. So, fight them to the death. They wrong. All they trying to do. Transit, so what I'm saying, you can't do nothing to me. They can't do nothing to none of us. There's not one person here that can fire you. Not one person. Not McPhee, not Dave, not Lee. They can't. It's a process here. But I applaud you for fighting, man, and standing up and fighting against the powers that be. But I think, to your point, EEO, and that's how I will never again, for me, I advise all the members, go outside the agency. They got US EEO. They got Division of Human Rights. They got a lot of the divisions of law enforcement that you should go to. Like I said, there's nothing that transit has in place that they want to discipline, like you said about Brown. They're not trying to. There's no way in hell that if there's even any impropriety, a semblance of impropriety, a hint of impropriety, that somebody who engages in anything racially offensive, derogatory, that you put them back in supervision. I just read today, there was a two-star general in the military. I think he was sent for Asia and Africa. He said something to some enlisted men playing rap music, derogatory, and they dismissed him from his post.
Well, see, now this is the thing with Jason Brown, right? So the MTA claimed that they was trying to fire him and the arbitrator saved his job. You know, these arbitrators can be bought off also, right? But let's forget about that. Let's just say that we believe the MTA on their word that they tried to fire Jason Brown, but the arbitrator saved his job. Jason Brown is a superintendent. Why do you still have him in RTO? Why do you still have him in subways? You could transfer him to any department in his company. You kept him in close to the trains because deep down inside, you like what he was saying. So yeah, he didn't get fired, but guess what? It's up to you to keep him in this department or anywhere near this department. They could have shipped him to Staten Island. They could send him to buses. They could send him virtually anywhere in this company as a manager, but they kept him in train. So I don't believe their story either. You know, this company, I've been saying this for years. This is one of the most racist, corrupt companies in probably New York State, right? Probably the country, right? You would think that, oh, you know, you guys got a union, you could fight against that, you could do this. It's deeper than a union. People think that a union is a employee saving grace. Yes, a union is very important, but if you have union leaders who don't see race the same way that you see race, then guess what? You're going to be swinging, punching in the air because they not going to care, right? You got to get behind the people that care, whether they're union reps. Now, a lot of these black reps will closet talk and say, hey, yeah, you know, this company is racist, this, that. But they would never step foot and come out and say, you know, this company is X, Y, and Z. And, you know, like I said, there's a lot of positives to a union, but a lot of the things that unions really need to fight for, they are quiet on. Specifically speaking, you know, in the MTA, you know, they do not respect workers here. And when you look at the demographic of the workforce, these are not my numbers. These are the MTA numbers. It's 49% black alone. It's 78% minorities, right? It's 21% Caucasian, right? So when most of the egregious activity happen here on behalf of management to workers, then guess who's being affected the most, right? You gotta believe in collateral damage. For an example, and I mentioned this in the prior show, MTA chairman Jan Oliba, he went to my neighborhood, a black neighborhood. He went into a black church and he decided to play identity politics and tried to preach how much the MTA love black women, how much they support black women businesses. But he failed to mention that only 1% of the MTA workforce is white. Only 1% white or females. There's only 1% white females, right? Most of the females here are black. And guess what? No women on this job have light duty. There have been black women who lost their babies at this job. There are women who are climbing up and down trains 7, 8 months pregnant. The MTA do not care. That's one of the reasons why I decided to call in Henschke giving his brother an office job, because I'm like, wait, hold up. Y'all claim y'all don't have no light duty work, but how can Henschke give his brother an office job just because his brother can't operate the train or don't want to be on the train? You're going to give him an office job, but you can't do nothing for a pregnant woman at this company? Nah, that's not right. And like I said, the women who are mostly affected are black. or minority. So these people don't see things through the same optics that we see things, right? And it's because they don't care. It's because they don't care. But let something happen or be done to Sarah Meyer, that company is going to stop. They're going to make phone calls. They called me when I was going to have a rally at home. They called me and was like, yo, Tramel, come on, man. Right? But when it comes to the regular average woman on this job, specifically speaking, black woman, y'all turn the other cheek, we not taking that no more. And like I said, this is a hill that I'm willing to die on. Right? Forget about getting fired. I understand that this playing field that I'm playing on, I understand the things that I say. People got assassinated for the things that I'm fighting for right now. So I understand the risk that I'm taking, but I also understand the reward also. And that's what keep me going. I don't care about no 10 days. Like, y'all should have been smarter than that. And then a lot of these managers talk to me. I'm approachable. Somebody could have easily sent me an email and say, yo, Tramel, let's talk about these things that you posted. But the old boys network couldn't see themselves bowing down to that. The white supremacy part of this company couldn't see themselves bowing down to that. So here we are. The fight continues. Like what's his name? Nipsey Hussle say, the marathon continue, my brother.
This is oppressive work environment. This is the only place that you can go in offices. You can't go anywhere else where you see obituaries hanging around in CRCs. You see, by the time your career is over, you will see 50, 60 people in past under the age of 60. And that's because that it ain't stale dust. There's people walking around with a knot in their stomach. The Henskys of the world. The dispatcher Lord at Canarsie, who should be disciplined. Dispatcher Jordan, McClendon at 179, that you do nothing. I just can't remember the name. I will run off all the names of these bullies here that you constantly try to intimidate and bully. Hensky, the actor, he thought he was going to get away with it with you and others, what he was trying to do. We got rules here, not his rules.
And he tried to make his own rules. And
he's the law. You know the movies, I'm the law.
Yeah.
And a lot of people walking around, a lot of the managers are walking around here like that. And people, I don't know why. I don't know why. We got brothers and sisters here, and I understand some of them just want to go home, I said it before, and pay their taxes and worship their God and love their families, and they don't let them do their work and go home. And there are a segment of the small, minuscule amount of, and they tell you that, and they live everywhere, minimal amount of our members who get in trouble sometimes. But for the most part, 90s, everybody here trying to do their jobs, Chris uniforms, on time, doing what they need to do. But that's not enough. This is the same company that you had members, me being one, COVID comes, and I just got to talk about why I have you, but I got to talk about COVID. I go all over the place. But I ain't been on the show in a minute. So COVID, you had members, we was dying, suffering during that time. You had people who was coming here every day, 70%, perfect attendance, stricken with COVID, and we come back, we on 30% now. We coming back, you calling me, asking me where I'm going, am I going out? Call, make sure I ain't telling you nothing where I'm going. I'm a grown man. I ain't telling you nothing. You gonna penalize me for getting sick? This what kind of company we work for. You got us spitting in tubes, taking tests every week, and them cleaners ain't this. You pushing them trains out. I'm on the platform, now I see it. I'm there. You got to argue with these cleaners, these privatized cleaners, to disinfect all positions. So stop acting like you care about COVID, you care about us. All you care about is that number, that 6-digit numbers moving that train and trying to silence people who is fighting for the side of the right and fighting for decency and respect and dignity for their brothers and sisters. And what they doing to you is a joke. It's a joke, man. It's a joke.
Yo, let me tell you what else they did. So I don't know if you heard, Gomez shut down the yard over safety concerns. And I found out today that they cut the people time who didn't get on a train unsafe because of the safety concerns. What do you think about that? The MTA attacking workers who are exercising their right to work in a safe environment?
It's just another piece to like what they're doing to you. I mean, that's what they do. I mean, that's their weapon, of course, cutting your time. But I'll say this. Anybody who's at that yard that got their time cut, that sometimes is a sacrifice. They did what they needed to do, right? Because you could have been in that yard and got hurt and spent months fighting over comp. Not getting you. That's what they do. You get hurt, you fight them. You know how many men, I seen it. Few members had to retire, carpal tunnel, hurt themselves, and transit is fighting them. Fire is fighting them. They won't let them get. Some of our members could be back in a month, 2 months, 3 months. Instead, they go on the court fighting transit because transit's fighting them, preventing them from getting operation or the procedure they need. So I'm not surprised about this tactic, but I will say this to my brothers and sisters who was at that yard. If your time got cut, so be it. This is what fighting is. Sometimes you got to sacrifice. Forget that short money. So what? Fighting at cost. What's the cost? What cost are we paying for being bullied and working for a company that obviously in their cadence don't care about their hourlies? They don't care about it. Everywhere is making tweaks. Target, hospitals, schools, every private industry that I could name is trying to address the employees' concerns. Here, nah. They trying to hit people up with unfair discipline, using their arm, their investigative arm, to flip everything on you. That's absurd. We went there for you to incriminate yourself. That's what we went there for.
You know, it was so crazy when we listened back to the tape. When I had that interview with SIR, they was trying to get me, like, it seemed like that interview wasn't really for me. It was really for Henschke, where they was trying to get me to say that I threatened him. Like, crazy.
Yeah, I remember you just said, I remember you was asked about any racial thing, animus, and you said, no, this is strictly about his abuse of power. That's what this is about. You ain't trying to add on anything to it. This is just about what's right and discipline. Listen, if discipline is good for us, it should be good for them. And I think, again, in every agency in the city, supervisors are held accountable, except for here. And the membership, the union shouldn't have to ask anybody. I don't give a, like I said, you can cut my time. You can have anything. You're not going to do anything to one of my brothers and sisters in my face. You want a G2, you got a G2 from me. Nobody should have to beg for G2. We shouldn't be running out of the CRC's, the crew room, when one of us asks, yo, did you see what happened? We put our head down and run. And you wonder why, supervisors maybe like, yo, what are you wasting? They know the membership. You have to stay, has nothing to do with the union. Anybody, the membership has to come together. Like the brothers did at Coney Island Yard. They did the right thing. Forget that money. That's the cost. That's your life we talking about. That's your safety we talking about. Let them cut. That's it. Everybody here is fixated on that extra trip and that layup. At what cost? Your life? We dying here.
Facts.
Yeah, brother. Yeah, fight them to it. Listen. Everybody need to know. If you silence the voices here, the fight is here. It's over. You get rid of people like Tremel, it's over. All they trying to do is silence him. Trying to give him listen, this is a warning. Watch what you say. Why don't y'all watch what y'all do? Why don't y'all do the right thing by your employees? This place is a mess. And to the public, and I know you got a broad audience, bro. It's not safe down here.
Facts.
I'm down there. The cops patrol for an hour or two, and you don't see them. They take somebody deranged off the train, and he crosses the platform and gets on another train. They take him off going north. He gets back on going south and terrorizing the ridership and the workforce. So, and I will not let my family, if I ain't working, I'm taking the Uber and I ride for free. It is not safe. And anybody who's saying it's safe, Mayor Adams, Lieber, anybody of the transit hierarchy that gets in front of the camera and might that say that the MTA is safe is lying, is telling the mistruth. It is not safe. And you know it. Until they do something about these mentally ill folk, get some beds in Creedmoor and Manhattan Psychiatric and then all these other facilities, until they put some of these people, they need to be put in facilities. I don't think it's no safer from what happened at 36th Street. I see nothing that indicates to me, yeah, there was a heavy presence of police the first couple of weeks. It's back to the way it was. Safe? Come on.
Yeah. I like that energy, my brother. That's what get me pumped up, man. But it's the truth. You know, we could talk about safety. I mean, speaking of that real quick, since you spoke about that, let me put this on the screen real quick. We're having an MTA workers and riders rally. We will be talking about rider worker safety, accessibility, subway bus access, subway bus accessoride, women's issues, discipline, homelessness, EDP issues, public restrooms, hazard pay, MTA executives accountability. That's something that I would want everyone to look at. So we're going to be there May 14th, 2022. The location is Church Avenue on the B and Q train. The time is 10 a.m. You know, this is the first time ever that workers and riders are coming together to let the MTA know that we both are unhappy, and we're gonna make our voices heard. Man, are you gonna be there, Drummond?
I'm gonna try to be there. I think I'm gonna be there, but I'm gonna say this in regards to that. We had a brother who got his eye stabbed in his eye, lost his eye. We lost brother Goebbels. Before that, we had our brother who got stabbed up in the Bronx. And forgive me, because he's my man, the dude. Yeah, my man there. But no, what is it going to take? You see all these other groups, Amazon, they try to do it, and they don't make what we make. All around the country, people are standing up for themselves. What is it going to take for us? What, they got chopped our heads off? Somebody got hold it in their hand with a hatchet? What does it take for us to stand up and say, yo, we ain't gonna take this no more? And I don't want to hear, don't dare say we moved the railroad. So what? You do move it. You ain't doing nothing. And they trying to say they know damn well that you wasn't calling for no work stoppage. You can't even get the membership to slow down service. Much less stop. So stop that with y'all coming up with y'all concocted things. Why don't you try to sit down with Trammell and others and everybody, the union, Trammell, everybody, and come up with ways to make this a better environment for us and the riding public. All you trying to do is move these trains. Everything else is inconsequential. But yeah, I'm trying to make, I'm gonna be there. And everybody should try to be, so what? Use that AVA, that PLD. Put in for that day. Show them. They think they can walk all over us. Mm-hmm. That's what they're trying to do with Trammell right now. And this is frivolous. And this guy gets a re-instruction, which is nothing. That takes 2 aspirins and call me in the morning.
That's a fact. How he get a re-instruction and I get more days than the person who committed the most egregious act?
I don't know. There is something crazy about that. Something, I don't want to say corrupt. It rings of that. That's absurd. They should have commended. Listen, Hensky could have everything, give him whatever you was going to give him. It was going to be 10, 15, 5, whatever. But re-instruction? That's laughable. They didn't. And then come back, basically, and sit and Ms. Grant. And the way you said, you know what Malcolm said? I don't know what goes on in the hearts and minds of men, but beware of black faces in high places. I mean, they the protector of the realm, the Night Watch and Game of Thrones. I mean, they just there to protect Transit's best interest, because that was a very disingenuous, all that conversation that we had. For two, they should just did it for an hour and let you go about your business. Mm-hmm. That conversation was as disingenuous as anything I ever been party to in my life. And I think that tape speaks to that.
Mm-hmm. I would never sit down and talk with them again. I would never sit down and talk with them again. I don't see what the reason would be. I can't trust them ever again.
You would say, I didn't want. Listen, you could have stayed home with them. You didn't have to get out of bed for this. And they didn't even, which I've seen at times, is sometimes they call you back for a second interview. Why didn't they call you back? If there was any questions, anything they thought that was ambiguous or kind of vague, they needed some more clarity, why didn't they call you back for a second interview? Why didn't they do that? They had no intentions. And listen, I'm a sucker. They had me fooled, bro.
I was fooled up until the point I got this Dan. And I seen what this Dan consisted of. And, look, what they say, fool me once, shame on me. I take that. It's cool. I take that. But we coming up on an hour. I want you to leave the people with some final words. But before you do that, are we going to be seeing more of Drummond, Progressive Action?
I'm around, bruh. I'm around, man. I mean, listen, and I'm just being real about it. Eric, and Eric is Eric. I will, because we talking about something else. Then you, Lee, Ireland, and you saw me from day one. I mean, my activism, everything, started with PA and you and all that. So we'll see out there. I'm here, bro. I'm always here. Anybody need me, I'm here. But I think there's no getting around it. There's no getting around it. There's nothing nobody can do. We got to stand up, and everybody else is doing it but us. All we have, we spend more time, I'm not going to be cliche about it, but all we have is each other. And we got to fight for, we got the Roe, Wade versus, what's it? Wade versus Roe, Roe versus Wade.
Roe versus Wade.
Yeah, this is going backwards. And transit been going backwards. They've been going backwards. They've been abusing. We've been abused down. I should go to the UN. We've been abused down here, disrespected every day. And nothing that you said about Hensky was wrong. Nothing that you said about Mr. Lieber was wrong. Nothing you said about McPhee and Hensky is wrong. Nothing you say about the black folks who carry out their orders. I used to say, listen, these are black folks. These superintendents on black and white and Latinos that are carrying around, that carry out transit's marching orders every day. And their marching orders is get on that train and shut up. Be where you're supposed to be and shut up. And we're going to keep our foot on your necks. So we got to come together. We got to work together. And we got to push back. Everybody has a job to do. And 95% of us do our job admirably. Hardworking folks here. The Long Island Railroad sneezes, RTO, MTA catches pneumonia. Mm-hmm. So Metro North, they do what they want, but we got to come together, and they should be. What day is that rally, brother?
Hold on, your camera went out.
Right.
There you go.
What day is the
14th, May 14th.
Yo,
Saturday.
let's show them. Everybody, every group, every fraction here should come together and with the ridership and shows transit that we're gonna be treated with respect and dignity because it's not negotiable. That's my spiel, bro.
There we go. We go leave it there. Drummond, hold on for a second. I would like to tell y'all thanks for tuning in to this special show about the Old Boys Club. I hope that this enlightened you. We got love for everyone, but everyone don't got love for us. But we go continue to fight for everyone. Make sure May 14th you at the rally, 10 a.m. B&Q, Church Avenue. I'll catch you guys later. Peace.